I think the problem was in the garden that because it had been not very well looked after for so long, a lot of the plants had died out. So we had, considerable planting taking place.
It was like the secret garden from the book. It was absolutely, and now, the birds are singing, the life is here, and it's become a garden. It's become that beautiful garden that it should have been.
When the volunteers come along, we either have quite a lot of planting to do, quite a lot of weeding. We're just getting the garden back to how it used to be. We've got painting to do, benches to paint, all sorts of things really. We only took it over last February and it was in a terrible state. The pond, the liner was ripped, so there was no water in the pond. It was just sludge, bulrushes, all the stones around the edge were falling in. So our first job was to repair the pond with a new liner and new stones.
Lynn had been working on it for about a year, it takes a while. I mean, I think this year is the first time you see things properly. I mean, you'd look around and you see the angle bricks along the edge of the path, and you'd think they'd been there forever. They're weathered now and set in, but those were brand new, all put in, all hand dug out and put in all around the garden. But you look and you think it's always been that way. I came to the garden and met Lynn, who's wonderful. She runs the volunteers and basically runs the garden. And we spoke about the idea of having art in the garden. So we ended up doing a huge 13-foot woman, which was part sculpted and part hard landscape. And so it'll live and change and settle as the garden changes. The sculpture will change. We like the idea of having things that you find in a garden that you dig up, and people dig up old bits of pottery all the time, usually blue and white pottery, shards of bits of old plates and cups and things like that. So when we finished it, it was glazed white and painted with various different floral things, quite freehand, quite loose, but it looks like little bits of old pots. The fact that it was a walled garden that fed the mental institution, and then so many women were put away, and so I liked the idea of being a woman and being in here, and I liked her reading, that she wasn't just something that you looked at, she wasn't just an object to be viewed, and I think that's important, that she's actually actively doing something, not just an object to be seen.
I think his theory was Ginny, I got it in a hand until it stopped working. Yeah, while you're fit.
That's the one thing about the volunteers, their plants women and men. They love plants, and so they're giving the garden kind of love and time and attention that you just don't get anywhere else.
Yeah, but you're managing. I mean, this is only my first week.
People have just come forward, she had a chap came in and just offered to landscape, offered bricks, and then said, would you like me to send some blokes down to put some paths in? And they did. People are offering all sorts of different things, materials as well as time. They've got the lease for a while, but they've had very little help, I think. Outside of that, they've really done it themselves, and I think that's incredible.
The future of the garden is to just improve it, carry on making improvements to it, get it back to how it was or how we would like to see it, and involve the community in it as well.
You need these open spaces in a city to be able to breathe and to feel good, even somewhere like Lincolnshire where you think it's open. I think it should be just a living, growing space. And I hope it's still a community space.